to, direct orders to people. I like to think of them as coaching them to be better employees.
Okay. Now, when you talk about coaching, you talk about leading, mentoring, job shadowing. Are we talking about example, leading by example?
Yes, leading by example. I always like to go 100% with my work, and I hope that my coworkers do as well.
Okay. What do you find is the biggest challenge as a leader?
Just making sure everyone's on the same page and that the communication is there is probably the biggest challenge. When you work with, a group of people, it's important to work as a team and really communicate, not work individually all the time.
Okay, here again, just for clarification, we are talking to Lauren Gefke, who is a new leader at the gym that I belong to, Elite Health and Fitness. And one thing I know is that you're always smiling, no matter how much pressure you're under. Does that get challenging sometimes as a leader?
Sometimes I do get stressed out, but it's important just to take a step back, focus, at what you have going on at that time. Okay. And something I find really important is to make a list, write anything down so you don't forget, and make sure your tasks are complete.
Okay, task and skills. Okay, what if somebody is really, really trying, but we can't get them to do what they need to do? Often leaders are challenged with that. Okay, clarification. Leaders often are not on the same page that we're on. Like, we know what needs to be done. We have goals, we have agendas, and there's also a hierarchy beyond that. And we try to be able to satisfy that hierarchy, if you will. Middle-level managers are often sandwiched between the big picture and the day-to-day stuff. Okay, how do we get people, employees, to get on the same page without actually getting intimidating sometimes? Okay, that seems to be a challenge.
Yes. I think communication is important in how you deliver your message. Like I said, I try not to bark orders at people. I try and coach them and lead by example. And I really think communication is key to having your employees do what you need done.
This isn't a question I ask often, but I find it more and more to be a big part of leadership. And that is, how does body language speak more than words sometimes?
I've taken classes about communication and body language, and I think you can really tell a lot by what someone's thinking by their body language. Whether their fists are clenched, you're pretty sure that they're upset about something. If they have their back turned to you, they might not.
Arms folded, that type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're in a conversation with someone and you can see their body language going that way, you might want to switch how you're saying, what you're trying to communicate, and just approach it differently.
And sometimes you just can't, and I know I'm kind of round circling here, but sometimes we just can't reach someone, but we know that they're giving it 110%. How do you get around that, or just say, well, it isn't working?
Again, I'm really big on communication. So if you can sense that something's not going the way you want it to, I think it's okay to just ask that person outright. Is there a problem? How can we fix this? Do you understand what I'm saying? But you have to be really careful how you articulate that.
When you say really careful of how you articulate that, what could happen if it's not articulated right?
I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want anyone to take my message the wrong way. I think it's important to, be clear, but also be aware of the other person's feelings.
Okay, so is there a time when a leader really has to back off?
I think there is. Of course, I want the work getting done, but I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Okay. Often they talk about leadership different types of leadership. There's a qualitative set and there's a quantitative set, but a lot of leadership we can't get out of a book.
Mm-hmm.
So what is Lauren's personal recommendations on how she leads that we can't get out of a book?
I think it's experience. I've had people in my life that I look up to as leaders, and I try to copy, them in their actions. But really, experience is not something that you can be learned all the time.
So there's a qualitative set. You talked a lot about gut instinct, and we talk. There are three components, I guess, of leadership. There's a skill set. That's one. The second part is going to be, the cognitive. Then the third thing is going to be the intuitive or the behavioral, if you will, the emotional intelligence. How do you see the big picture of what you're doing evolving into some type of successorship where you can move on and know and feel confident that what you're leaving behind to another place? So how do you get there? What do you do to get there?
Yeah, I mean, emotionally, I take pride in my work. I see the success stories of my members in the gym, whether it be weight loss, strength building. So I feel like I leave that here, and that I'm changing lives that way.
So, okay. Now, what's really interesting about different types of leaders is there's like how many employees here that you're talking over 50 doing different
in
things.
The whole, facility.
Right. Okay. So how do we keep those that are doing maintenance, those that are trainers, those that are on the desk? How do we keep it all in the balance?
I think it's important to when you see someone doing well, it's important to give them praise, to build them up. Whether that is Nusa, who's our cleaning lady, doing a great job, whether it be one of our trainers, really doing a lot of hours. I think it's important to really, make light of them doing good, not just criticize them all the time.
It sounds like what you're talking about is you're responding to your team and you're becoming more successful as a leader because you're building their abilities, their sense of awareness, they're building not only their cognitive strengths but also behavior. How do you look at this particular environment as a culture? How do we grow it?
Yeah, I think we're a really tight-knit community here. I try and learn everyone's names, trying to learn what everyone's about. So I'm really trying to build personal relationships with people here at work, whether it be members, co-workers. That's important to me. Okay.
If you were to give some really meaningful advice to an aspiring leader, that, one of the things that I'm kind of getting away from asking is saying things like, should we follow in your footsteps? Do you want other leaders who you're building to follow in your footsteps, or do you want to leave a legacy behind where they can find their own footsteps?
I think a little bit of both. I want people to build off what I've left. So it's important for me to kind of set some type of example, and then people build from there.
Okay, so you're talking about essentially building a base paradigm of certain skills and things that need to be done, but then you want them to find their way.
Right, exactly.
So no two individuals are exactly the same. Okay, so if you had, last question, if you were to give some advice to the class that I'm teaching now in leadership, and there's going to be a combination of nurses, police, traditional, non-traditional students, what type of advice would you give them if they want to aspire to lead in whatever environment they're in?
A few things. Again, communication is key. I think it's important to communicate with all your coworkers, and just really make sure there's no confusion. Also ask a lot of questions. There's no question that is right, wrong, or right. So those are a couple of things that I think are pretty important.
I like that. No question. So no question right or wrong. So there's no question that's stupid.
Exactly.
So they shouldn't be afraid to approach you and think that, oh
Yeah,
my
I
God, I'm
wanna
going to
be
get my head bit off because I
Exactly.
asked a
I think
question.
being approachable is a big thing. It's hard to work with a manager that you don't feel comfortable around or makes you a little nervous.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. And who knows, maybe next time we talk to you, you'll be the president of XYZ company.
We'll see, yeah.
Who knows? All right. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right.